What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It wasn't too long ago that we talked about this mystery device from Nintendo that popped up in different filings with the FCC. Since then, there have been a bunch of deep dives on whatever this thing is, and it seems to be giving us some more details around it, even shedding some light onto what this thing could be, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about this strange update that the PlayStation 5 received that seemed to just change fundamentally how all of your games were displayed to you on the home screen, title by title, and it didn't go over well online. And then we may actually have a solution for light gun shooters with modern HD TVs. That's been a problem for a while, and it appears one company seems to have the solution, and they're actually tapping the one big game most people think about when it comes to the arcade and these light gun shooters. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're going to start today with Sea of Stars and a big update that's coming up, not the really big update next year, basically the expansion for 2025. This is a different update that's just adding more features to the current game. It's coming out November 12th, so about 5 or 6 weeks from now, and we can see this posted over on Nintendo Life, just giving us a quick rundown of all the new features. And the big one that sticks out to me is the local co-op. It says Sea of Stars story will be playable in its entirety by up to 3 players, and they also mention a new co-op timed hits combat mechanics. That's really cool. They go over new combat features, doubling it 2.0. There's a revamped prologue, bonus cinematic scenes, speedrunner mode, difficulty presets, quality of life improvements. So this is just really cool to have that, especially co-op in like a turn-based RPG, which is just isn't very common. You think of turn-based RPGs immediately as single-player experiences. So this is just a fun thing to put in there, again, as we head towards 2025 when they're pushing the big expansion DLC out there. So check this one out, though, again, releasing November 12th for the base game. Also, we got a bit more information and context for Ubisoft and Star Wars Outlaws. As they mentioned, it was sort of a soft launch for it when it came to the sales, not up to expectations. And, well, we can see this over on Insider Gaming, where they say it comes as no surprise to learn that in an entire month on the shelves, Star Wars Outlaws has sold just 1 million copies. And I talk about this a lot when it comes to sales and context for that game. Star Wars Outlaws is not a cheap game. A lot of this, yes, has to do with the license cost around using the Star Wars property from Disney, and we've seen this just laid out on the table as something like the Marvel license, for example, with Spider-Man 2 and those Insomniac leaks. Not cheap to use that. And it seems like the cost continues to go up, and Spider-Man 3 is going to be even more money when it comes to licensing. So I look at Star Wars and go, okay, yeah, that's probably on the same level. In this case, I'm sure Ubisoft is expecting to sell many, many more copies, flashing the Star Wars logo all over the place for Outlaws. Definitely more than 1 million copies in its first month, and it seems like their plan is to continue working on it through updates and hope that maybe it has a strong holiday performance, and that can get them to a point where they just break even. I really think that's the goal at this time for Star Wars Outlaws, because after 1 million copies selling in its launch month, they got some ground to make up. Oh, but sticking with Ubisoft, one project that I think has potential to be really, really big for them is a follow-up to Rainbow Six Siege. That's a game that's been going on, I think, for way too long. We used to get Rainbow Six games constantly, back to back to back to back almost. Back in the day, yes, but it was something that would consistently release, and Rainbow Six Siege has been very successful for them, no doubt. But we can see this posted up. This is from Shiny, who does cover a lot of the Rainbow Six stuff that's been happening within Ubisoft, with leaks and just information getting out there, saying that they are currently working on a new game, codename Rainbow Six Atom. They say it's possible it's just a placeholder and is subject to change. I'm just happy to hear that there is a new Rainbow Six game in development, because it's just felt like they've been fine with Siege and that's it. I feel like there's a lot of potential there to go take things to the next level, as Siege, it's a good game. It does feel kind of older when it comes to shooters, especially the shooting mechanics. That's something I'm sure they could revamp and do quite a bit more with, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully this is something they have lined up sooner rather than later, because Ubisoft is, they're looking kind of shaky right now. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with that Nintendo mystery device. When this first showed up online, people, of course, were scratching their head at what exactly it could be, but it did seem like something that would attach to something else. naturally, we put two and two together and go, oh wow, that Switch 2 prototype that was out on a table with the motherboard exposed seemed to have a port on the top as well as the bottom, so maybe this is something that would attach to it as an accessory, with Nintendo, of course, being Nintendo and just exploring all kinds of weird ideas and projects, at least lined up. But now, as we're getting more information, which also includes the dimensions of this thing, doesn't really seem to be the case. And now there's a leading theory as to what this could be for, and if it is, might disappoint some people, but let's take a look. This was posted up over on Reddit, the Gaming Leaks subreddit. And in this, we have remote play gaming, which they also put up a video going over this. So if you want to kind of listen to a lot of this information, just outright, as well as even showing off they basically built like a mock-up of what the dimensions translate over to in real space with a model. So you can get a better grasp of it there. I'll leave the video linked down below in the sources for remote play gaming. But with the bullet points here, they do talk about things like the distance of the 24 gigahertz antenna from each side of the device, giving them a size, shape, and dimensions, which come out to 90.6 millimeters by 90.6 millimeters by 83.7 millimeters, give or take a bit for the plastic. And again, in their video, they show it and it looks kind of like a cube. Keep in mind, this could be something that is rounded and maybe even, it could even be more circular shaped or spherical shaped, I guess. But I think this is very purposeful to have it as a cube, because one of the leading theories now is this wouldn't at all be for the Switch. It very well could be for something like Pokemon Sleep. See, if let's say it's set up as, again, it's funny, an alarm clock even with a screen on the front, because some of the other findings here show that it most likely has a screen of some sort. It could be one that's a bit more detailed, like a typical LCD, or it could be something where it's sort of like the Fitbit, or it's like kind of dots and stuff on there that just will display numbers and some like small bits of information there for you. Battery life, even say it could use a battery just in case maybe the power goes out with your alarm clock plugged in. But the idea here would be maybe it can use that radar, right? It can use that to track how your sleep is going, whether you're tossing and turning, and then that can immediately calculate in real time to Pokemon Sleep. Another one that was discussed here is the possibility of like the HTC Vive base station that will have it like AR, augmented reality style play in space with the Switch 2. So basically it can track what's happening in the room, maybe when it's docked and you have it all plugged in, and you can have other experiences that, yeah, would sort of play into what Microsoft was doing very early on, a very, very, very primitive, I guess, version of that kind of with the Kinect, like the 360 Kinect. This kind of sounds like something to me, though, that Nintendo is more or less filing for the Pokemon Company, as they will do that with a lot of those different accessories. Nintendo will handle a lot of the hardware stuff for the Pokemon Company, and I'm kind of thinking, at least at this time, I'm expecting and leaning towards the idea that this is an accessory for something the Pokemon Company is doing, or something weird that Nintendo's doing that's not necessarily related to their like primary console. Some people brought up the idea of vitality sensor, but this doesn't necessarily make sense for that, and it certainly doesn't look like something you would actually walk around wearing or even attaching to the top of a system. So I am thinking now that maybe it is an alarm clock, and it sounds funny, but yeah, I mean, it would probably sell well. Pokemon Sleep alarm clock. You don't have to use your phone or anything anymore. You just leave this alarm clock plugged in and it'll watch you while you're asleep, which, hey, that's a great advertising slogan there, I'm sure. Next up, let's talk about a strange series of events that happened yesterday for the PlayStation 5. As I was watching this unfold throughout the day, from the morning to where people were discovering this, to midday when PlayStation actually responded, to then later on at night, just ahead of this recording, to where the PlayStation Network is just down for whatever reason. It's been a day for PlayStation, but we can see this is posted up by IGN, and I'm specifically going to them because they even have a bunch of screenshots just showing examples they collected from the internet for what was happening here. But they say at the top, the PlayStation 5 home screen now replaces unique video game art with annoying ads you can't turn off. And again, screenshots all over the place for this one, and so what appears to be happening here is when you go to any of the icons here, and we'll just kind of scroll through some of these examples. When you go to any of the icons on your PlayStation 5 dashboard, typically, ahead of getting into the game. You might have activity cards, some trophy data, how long you've played the game, maybe how far you are through a certain event or activity in it. But typically, I mean, the background usually, if it's not necessarily just an activity card you're working through, will just be the key art for the game. So maybe some music that ties along with it, depending on what the developers have done, but it won't be, say, official news and patch notes for Black Myth Wukong, or advertisements even for the game that you're about to play. That's my favorite one. They're like, oh, look at all these reviews for the game you've already spent money on, or advertisements, say if you highlight like Horizon for like Forbidden West, and then it'll show you Lego Horizon Adventures, almost like that's the game you're about to pick. It even completely replaced the entire backdrop with the Lego game versus Forbidden West. So that's actually kind of confusing looking, really, if you think about it. And apparently this is all pulling from the news feed and was actually a mistake. Ask PlayStation did put out a message later on in the day saying a tech error with the official news feature on the PS5 console has since been resolved. There have been no changes to the way game news is displayed on PS5. I think the way they have it set up now with the Welcome Hub is awesome. Like, if you go to that tab right in the beginning when you start up your PlayStation, you can customize it, put in all kinds of things that you want there, whether it's like the battery icon, how much juice your controller has left, your headset, what your friends are doing. You can have specific news feeds and things to follow right there. And it's just kind of a nice glance at everything going on at PlayStation that you care to see. And I think that is the best way to go about it. And then just leave the game tabs just to the games. Like, I really do enjoy the idea of going through, seeing a game, and then just seeing what the developers decided to put there, and usually, again, key art, music, and it kind of gets you hyped up for the game you're about to get into. It's only one issue, though. They say they resolved it, and I went on the check. The PlayStation Network is just down, and it wasn't just me. I looked online, and a lot of other people are saying the same thing. So it was a weird day for PlayStation. Fortunately, they should have this resolved by the time you're seeing this video, or something has gone really wrong in the background, because that means it's been down for, like half a day. So let me know if this is something you noticed, though, and if you got really annoyed seeing some of the, I don't know, ads and stuff that were randomly just there. Fortunately, a small hiccup, I guess, but it seems like they're always playing around with this dashboard, and I don't think you have to overthink it too much. Most of us just want to play the game, and that's all you really need to show us. Next up, let's talk about Final Fantasy IX Remake, which has been rumored for quite some time now. Remember, it was in that NVIDIA leak list, what feels like an eternity ago, and it does appear that it's actually getting at least close enough to show here pretty soon within Square Enix. So we're kind of looking around for it now. It wasn't at Tokyo Game Show, maybe at the Game Awards at the end of the year, but Yoshi P did say something that concerns some people, and I do wonder if they're trolling on this one. Let's take a look. This is posted up over on SI, interestingly enough. They ask him, if you could remake any classic Final Fantasy game, what would you make? Yoshi P responds saying, oh man, that's a super tough question. The one that I would like to make myself would be Final Fantasy III, I think. Of course, I do know there are requests for Final Fantasy IX to be made, but when you think about Final Fantasy IX, it's a game with huge volume. When you think about all of that volume, I wonder if it's possible to remake that as a single title. It's a difficult one. It is a tough question. Now, when he says volume, I'm sure he means like just content in general, all the things you can remake or even retell if you want, or change the story completely like Final Fantasy VII, where you make everyone think they're buying the remake, and really they're buying the start for the reimagining of a game that is very beloved by them. And in this case, when I saw that, I said, Square, you're already doing this with Final Fantasy VII, and I'm enjoying my time through it, but I understand the gripes people have when they go, look, just remake Final Fantasy VII. Don't overthink it. Don't get weird. And they get completely weird with it. You don't have to do it with 9. At least finish up Final Fantasy VII Remake before you try to do something weird like that again and turn a single game into 3 or something. I think 9 is set up perfectly for just a high-quality remake that is 1-to-1. I think that's perfectly fine. It's a popular enough Final Fantasy to stand on its own, and many people look at it as the best Final Fantasy just outright. And I know others will go, oh, no, it's like 6, or they really like 10 or 7. But most people go, you know what, 9 felt like the pinnacle of Final Fantasy with that PS1. And that's kind of been the for a lot of people, the real pinnacle of the series. So no, I think 9 just deserves that really, really good remake. And that's kind of it. You don't gotta turn it into a bunch of different, but like a saga or nothing like that. It's just, it kind of got Square into a weird position right now with 7. And I think at this time, Square just needs to settle down and reconfigure internally, and I don't think that means that they need to throw 9 in there as a new trilogy or something. I'm just hoping there's a bit of a troll here. Wouldn't it be funny if we turned it into 4 different games? Or let's just get 9 Remake out there. I think most people are ready to see it. Here's hoping at sooner rather than later. I think the Game Awards is a good spot for it. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about those light gun games that we used to have back in the day where it would function fine with like older CRTs. And then we got these flat panel screens that are great, obviously, for clarity when it comes to just picture in general, just image quality. But we kind of took a step back because a lot of light gun stuff just doesn't work with it, like, at all. Well, it appears one company is thinking outside the box, and they're going to be bringing Time Crisis up to try it out. Now, we can see this posted up. This is over on Time Extension. And they say, I think it's Dashine Electronics has announced Game, a plug-and-play device that comes preloaded with Time Crisis and utilizes an AI-powered light gun that is compatible with modern-day flat-screen televisions. The AI gun is engineered to self-calibrate by intelligently detecting your screen, offering unparalleled accuracy and ease of use. It works with various angles and distances, supports all kinds of common screen sizes, can be tilted to shoot. It is designed with the casual gamer in mind. They say it's going to cost $90 for the base edition as the main unit and the gun controller, and $120 for the deluxe version. That includes a pedal controller and bonus. I mean, come on. You're going to go for this. You should really go for it. You need the pedal, and if you play Time Crisis in the arcade, you absolutely need that pedal to move, take cover, reload, and I think that'd be awesome to have that nice little setup in the house. No release date on this one. Apparently they were showing it off at Tokyo Game Show, so I need someone out there who's at Tokyo Game Show to give us the rundown on this. I'm interested to see how this works out, and I know AI has been this controversial topic. To me, this is a perfect use case for it, solving a problem that we have, which is, at one point we had like Time Crisis, and you could buy it, and you had to put things all around your TV, and even that wasn't great. It's something we left behind when we got away from these CRTs, so I would love for these companies to figure out a way to give us Time Crisis in the home, maybe even better than what we had then, using something like AI, apparently with a gun, like the gun con and stuff. So that I'm interested. I'm going to keep an eye on this. And I mean, if it comes to market and we're good to go, yeah, I'll pick one of these up, even if I have to import it from Japan. So, hey, I'm ready. Get a new Time Crisis out there. Let's get that rolling. It'd be a lot of fun to have that in the house, pedal the whole thing, because have you looked up one of those arcade units? It costs a ton of money, and it's a whole thing just to get it to your house. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you picking up the new Silent Hill 2 remake? Okay, 14% getting it ASAP, 39% say maybe later on sale, and then 48% say no, I'm not interested. And some were wondering, and I saw this a lot in the comments, okay, where's the option for I'll wait to see if it turns out good? I thought about running this poll now, running it again after the reviews drop, and just see, like, we can compare it. Okay, let's say the reviews come out. Let's just throw this out there hypothetically. The thing's a 92. Will that change people's mind? Are they like, oh, this is like one of the highest rated games of the year, and it's Bloober Team? Are we sure? That seems to be the case right now with Bloober Team. There's not a lot of confidence. Still, even though the game has seemingly leaked out, people are playing it. We hear that like it's a 50 gigabyte install, and there's like hours and hours of footage of people playing the thing online, and it looks very good. People are still like, yeah, but it's Bloober Team though, right? Hey, we'll see. The good news is the game is out in a week, and I believe there's even like an early access period or something for it. So reviews should be coming up here in like 5 days or so. We'll see what Bloober Team can make out of Silent Hill 2, but I think they will at least have one that's above average for them with Silent Hill 2, and I kind of feel like a lot of longtime fans of the series will be pretty happy. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Skull, who says, console manufacturers don't make enough consoles to meet demand. People concerned? Console manufacturers make enough consoles to meet demand. People concerned? Yeah. For me, I was pretty happy to just be able to buy the console online, even a couple days later, really, and there's no issue. It's stark contrast to when I remember the PS5 first came out, and it was mayhem just trying to get an order in, right? Like, things were being pulled out of your cart online, and it was chaos. And they popping up online for $1,500 or something. But in this instance, yeah, it was very easy to pick it up, so I was pretty happy with that. But I get why some people are like, oh, wait a minute, does that mean it's not like in high demand? Was this a good idea by... That's been the question the whole time. Is this a good idea by Sony? So when you see that it's not selling out right away and it doesn't seem like a ton of people are necessarily rushing out and buying it. I looked around the podcast and everyone's like, no, and I'm good. It does make you wonder about just the overall demand and the sales performance of this system. And it also makes you wonder about where the market is exactly going forward when it comes to visuals. Because people seem pretty happy with what they have right now, and maybe it's time to start looking around at other ways to bring up the immersion even for video games. Figure out other avenues and what you can offer when it comes to value outside of things just looking prettier, shinier, more ray tracing in games. What else can we do to push the medium forward? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card for you, or maybe you wanted to hear about how Sony absolutely showed us that physical games are still necessary. I'll leave that right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.